As you're mentioning this, that has to be true because, 5 years in Bahrain, I got to know all cultures and quite a few. I would say the most difficult to me are the Bahraini women, but I knew quite a few of those as well. But I never met anybody that I openly knew was homosexual. So you're probably right. There were probably a few, but they didn't feel like they could be open about it.
Yeah, so I feel a bit sad about it because I feel women can be themselves, and I'm a total supporter of women. And if they come as lesbians, I feel like they should be proud of it. But because we have a lot of cultural challenges and pressure, I don't feel they have the courage to come out as who they are.
Well, judging from the few Bahraini clients that I had, who were all female, well, not all, but a majority were female, I would say that those particular women, what they endured with the families, great families, nothing against the families, they were doing with their culture or what their pressure came from, and feeling like they were being judged. It's difficult for the females. It can be pretty difficult.
It is really difficult. And talking about as well, like let's say liberal women in Bahrain who are able to date and to have sex outside of marriage, and it's difficult for them for everybody to accept them for who they are, because the typical and the tradition is like to have sex after marriage, but to date and have sex outside of marriage for women, it's kind of like foreign. It's still foreign in Bahrain, unless the Arabic society here or Bahrainis will have different opinion of her. For me, it's natural, and she's allowed to to date whoever she wants. But
Sure.
maybe the older generation will have different opinion, and they might be not pleasant opinions.
And how would you say it is for the man, both hetero and homosexual?
So dating outside of marriage.
Dating outside of marriage, having sex outside of the marriage or after marriage, after divorce, all of that.
Yeah. So for the man is unfortunately more acceptable than the woman.
Sure.
So the man here is like, oh yeah, like he wouldn't, or the society would not judge him, would not judge him as harshly as women.
Sure.
And if he wanted to have sex outside of marriage, that's totally up to him. But I don't know why the society here, not all of them. I mean, they are the younger generation or people of my generation. They're more acceptable, and they're more open-minded. But the older generation, they judge women differently, and
Sure.
she's the woman in their eyes when she goes out with different guys, and when she dates other men, she's basically a player.
Right. Well, I think it's not so out of the ordinary from my conservative upbringing. The man would certainly not be judged as harshly for going out and, having a different person every night than the woman would. There's definitely a gender difference.
And I would tell you some interesting facts as well. So I have Bahraini female friends who are dating and actively dating, but they don't feel as comfortable dating Arab men. They would go for foreign men.
Absolutely.
And that's an interesting fact. And because they want to feel secure and they want to feel safe, and just they don't want any criticism and they don't want judgment.
So what you're saying is that they would be judged by an Arabic or a local man, whereas an expat would be more open.
Exactly. And
Or a
that's how they
foreign
feel.
male, yeah.
Hmm.
Do you find that to be the case? You agree?
Yes, totally, 100%.
There's almost like a, now I'm going off of one experience, which is by, in no means, significant, but I visited another country, an Arabic country, and I observed a woman that a man called out to her. It looked to be a military man, Navy, or excuse me, American, and called out to her, and she looked over and she smiled, and because she did that, I'm assuming, well, Arabic man for sure, but I assume Islamic, came over and chastised her harshly in public for responding to him. Now, it was a conservative Arabic country, and I'm not criticizing it. I'm just wondering if that's more the norm.
So, outside of Bahrain, depending on which country, because going to women and tell them what to do, it's not really part of Islam. It's more like the cultural norms of the country.
Oman, yeah.
Yeah, so in Oman, they're more conservative than Bahrain.
They're expected to correct, no?
Yes. So we had the British for 250 years. They give us a protector status, and I think that's why Bahrain is more liberal than any other country in the Middle East because of that. Because of the mix of cultures, and because Bahrain got merged with other cultures as well. So we're more open-minded. So you would not find that in Bahrain. If a Bahraini woman wants to mingle or to date a military guy or whoever, foreign guy, she's allowed to. But somewhere like Oman or somewhere like Saudi Arabia, I don't think that'll be the case.
Right, for sure. Saudi, I would imagine. Even Dubai, I wonder about, but maybe I'm wrong.
So Dubai, I love the UAE, but I don't like the idea of Dubai. I mean, it tries to be like number one on everything, like the tallest building or the biggest water park, but it really
bigger is better, yeah.
But it really lacks of character and it really lacks of culture, Yeah. So when you go there, it's like, it's amazing for 3 days, and then you start to wonder, it's like, am I in an Islamic country? Am I in an Arabic country?
Yes.
You don't feel that at all.
Like you go to, it's like when I said here, when I moved here and they put me in, often the case outside of base is Little America. And I'm like, I didn't come all the way to another country to be in America. I want to experience that culture. Same thing there, but... So I know you're very well traveled, Khalid. What is if I could, not to put you on the spot, but what would you say the most embracing of your culture, but also your lifestyle, and what was the most difficult for you, even if you were there for a weekend?
So do you mean which country that I went to, it was difficult for me?
Yes, the most, maybe not for you, but you noticed it was not as embracing of someone who like covered.
Yeah.
Or even the lifestyle. What was the most embracing and open, and what would you say would be the most restrictive?
So, yeah, when I went to Colombia, it was, I felt like home. I felt like I found my place. I even called my mother and told her, I will not come back. This is my home.
You love Colombia.
Yes, and I told her, if you want to visit me, you're more than welcome. I'm not going to come back to Bahrain. Because it felt so welcoming. People are so warm, and I felt I can be myself.
It was voted one of the most happy places, and very high crime, but one of the most happy people.
They are way too happy. I mean, it's not a problem, but like, it's nice to see it,
Yes,
like
and be
on the
around
weekends, and during the weekends, a stranger will grab your hand and just want to dance with you.
I love that.
It's really, really amazing, and I met so many beautiful friends. I've seen so many beautiful places. especially the colonial towns around Medellin, around Bogota. It's such a beautiful country, and I felt like home, you know.
That's beautiful. And
so,
it didn't matter your
and
lifestyle. It didn't matter sexual identity, any of that.
no. In Colombia, you can get married, and you can also adopt. So
What?
they're
That's
really, really
awesome.
liberal. Yes.
Way to go,
Mhm.
Colombia.
I remember in Bogota they have kind of like a gay district where all the gay clubs, and they have the biggest gay club in Latin America. So it's really accepting and welcoming.
That's interesting because when I travel, I traveled a lot while I was in Italy just because it's so cheap to go around to, in Europe. And I realized that every gay couple that I met, they were all from Brazil, Colombia, Guatemala, Spain, any of it. So that I find that to be true. What was the most difficult, would you say, or the most tense?
So when I don't know why I decided to go to Asia. I think it's part of me who just want to explore a different culture, even though I love the Latin culture.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, I already spent 4 years of my life like teaching in different countries. So I went to Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, and Dominican Republic. And I felt there's a similar pattern, and I was like, I'm ready for something different,
Mm-hmm.
So I traveled all the way from Dominican Republic straight to Vietnam. And I think I told you about that before. So the most challenging part was not my sexuality; it was my skin, my color of my skin.
I'd forgotten that.
Because they would not hire me as an English teacher because of my color of my skin, unfortunately. And that had an effect on my self-esteem. And,
oh my goodness, you probably never even thought about it. I wouldn't.
No, I never thought about it. No.
I had that same conversation with a friend of mine who is Taiwanese. Yesterday, she's American, but her mother is Taiwanese, and she said that she had been with a couple of African American men, and she never had a problem except for when she would read the emails from her mom's family about the fact that they had black skin.
Wow.
So I think in general, Asia, and I'm happy to be corrected on that, but I think in general, Asia may struggle with that. The old school.
I think it comes from, the old belief that white is beautiful, and if you have blonde or blue eyes, then you're the most beautiful. And when you have a darker skin, that means you work under the sun, or you're poor, or you're not attractive, and you're ugly. So when I went to Vietnam, basically English teachers were fashion models, because they will go to school and dress up like the best clothes they would have, just to role model for their kids. And I question the quality of education, because you're showing them like probably a white or a white woman or a white man. But when they go to America, when they go to London, for example, an English-speaking country, these kids are going to face, multiple colors, like blacks, Asians, and white, and all of them can speak in English, not just the white people.
Correct. It's a melting pot for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's interesting, because Vietnam is absolutely, from what I understand, the easiest of all the countries to get a visa or whatever you call it to live there, to retire there. Vietnam would be the easiest, but that's the bias there in general.
And I think it only belongs to the English teaching industry. And overall, I love Vietnam. It's such a beautiful country. I love their cuisine. And by the last month I was there, I was like, I'm not going to even try to be an English teacher. I just want to enjoy this country. Wow. And I don't want to be under stress. You know what I mean? So I just took my time. I explored and I traveled within the country, and it's a beautiful